Hello and welcome to Connect the World. I'm Lynda Kinkade, live from Atlanta, filling in for Becky Anderson. Thanks for being with us. People across France have just a few more hours to cast their ballots in one of the nation's most critical presidential races in decades. They're not just picking a president, but potentially deciding on France's role in Europe and the rest of the world. Will it be Emmanuel Macron, a global-minded centrist and former economy minister? Or will they pick the far-right Marine Le Pen, who is anti-immigrant and anti-EU, and follow the wave of populism that gives rise to Brexit and Donald Trump? Well, it is a nail-biter of an election day with a lot on the line. Our Melissa Bell is at the Le Pen campaign headquarters in Paris. You've seen a lot of voters there already casting their votes earlier today. How's it looking so far?
Well, one of the crucial figures, and we've just heard this, was the 5 p.m. Turnout rate. Now, it's come out just in the last couple of minutes, and it is slightly down on the one that we saw at this time in the second round in 2012. So the comparable figure would be that 5 p.m. Turnout figure back in 2012 second round. It is 65% today. It was 71% at the same time 5 years ago, which suggests that turnout could be down. And that matters, Lynda, mostly to Emmanuel Macron. I mean, Marine Le Pen knows that her voters are going to go out and vote. People who want to make sure that she gets in will go out and vote despite the rain, despite the long weekend. It is Emmanuel Macron, that untested electorate, since he's never stood for anything before, that is the big question mark in this. The fact that turnout appears to be down on what it was 5 years ago is probably bad news for him. We have to wait, though, another few hours, of course, to understand precisely what kind of difference that has made, Lynda.
Absolutely. We also have Isa Soares on the story joining us now. Isa, in the past 18 months, more than 200 people have been killed in France as a result of terror attacks. How is that fear playing on the minds of voters today?
Well, it's something that we have heard from Marine Le Pen. It's one of the key words she's been using, is striking fear, according to Macron, into many people across France. But, you know, people voting today across the north of the country, Lynda, really had one thing on their minds, and that is putting a cross alongside the name of Marine Le Pen. Speaking to people as they vote in the early hours of this morning, they were saying to me they were confident, Lynda, that she was going to win. They had a support. She's the best person to be in charge. She has the most experience. And also it's something that we've seen all along in this campaign. It is this comparison between these two very different candidates, you know, between the elites and also and really the people outside of it. Many people, of course, putting this campaign, as Marine Le Pen has called herself, forgotten France, the northern parts of the country, the Rust Belt, which is what we saw pretty much in the US election. So this campaign has been targeted by Marine Le Pen between the haves and the have-nots, between those who are globalization and those who are patriots. That's how they are seeing it. But for many people here, having Marine Le Pen come to the north of the country, seeing her here voting, makes a huge difference. We know that she arrived in the Paris headquarters in the last hour or so ago. This is where she's staying for the last results when they come in at 8 o'clock. But people here are confident, Lynda, that she will win this.
Absolutely. Okay, Isa, just stand by for us. We also have our Jim Bitterman, who's at the Louvre Museum. Jim, we were just speaking about the fear that some people have there as they cast their votes. Already we've seen a security scare at the Louvre Museum where Macron is expected to speak later today. What can you tell us about that?
Well, Lynda, it wasn't much of a scare. It was more of a routine check by the police here. They wanted to go through this area where we are to make sure that there aren't any bombs. They brought in their sniffer dogs and whatnot, and basically check things out ahead of tonight's activities here. And I think you can see in the background there's plenty of police back there, plenty of security, and the stage where Emmanuel Macron is going to speak to the crowds later on. I believe he thinks it's going to be a victory speech, and certainly his supporters, who are probably going to be coming out here in numbers, think that as well. We're, in fact, just in front of the Louvre here with the Pyramid of the Louvre in the background, and they're expecting quite a big crowd here tonight, whether he wins or loses, Lynda.
All right, I just want to go back to Melissa now. Of course, this election has a big impact outside the borders of France. Why should the rest of the world be concerned?
Sorry.
Allez-y, madame.
C'est fini, madame. Ça fait un quart d'heure qu'on vous donne.
Monsieur,
on est en direct.
Mais il n'y a pas de direct, monsieur.
All right, I think we're having some problems there, clearly, with Melissa and some authorities there.
We're being asked to leave.
S'il vous plaît, allez-y.
All right, it sounds like Melissa Bell is being asked to leave from that location. Just back to Isa on this. Isa, just give us a sense of the impact, the ramifications of this election for the rest of the world.
It really is very two stark contracts and people going for the presidential race, and that is why it's important. If Marine Le Pen really wins, she's very much anti-NATO, anti-EU. She wants closer ties with Russia. She wants to see the sanctions eased off on President Putin after the annexation of Crimea. So really there is a fear there that there could be a wave of populism sweeping across Europe. So this story really wouldn't bode very well for Europe. She wants also out of Europe. She wants to get rid of the euro, and she wants to introduce a version of the franc. She wants tighter border controls, and that includes Schengen too, that is passport-free rights across the continent. So you get a sense of this wave of populism really closes the country inwards, and it also fears over globalization, the internalizing of politics, and that is a huge concern, because if one of the biggest countries in Europe looks so inwards, Lynda, the fear is that others perhaps may follow suit, and also that really what the European Union as we know it will no longer be the same.
All right, Isa, I just want to go back to Jim now. Jim, in the lead up to Brexit, many thought people wouldn't vote for Brexit in the UK. In the US election, many people thought Trump wouldn't win. Just in terms of Macron, he of course was the target of that major cyber hack. He's not taking any support for granted, and he has compared himself to Hillary Clinton.
Well, there has been that comparison made, and I think that the hack just kind of emphasized that last night, although this was not exactly the same kind of hack that took place with Hillary Clinton. With Hillary Clinton, it was drip by drip over the course of several months, whereas this was one big release of data that came out just before the deadline last night, and really, or Friday night, and it was really too close to the election for the French to take it in. In fact, most of the news media here didn't really report it. They certainly didn't report the content. Some of them reported there was a hack, but most of them didn't even report that there was a hack. So because of the reporting restrictions that were on as of midnight on Friday. So that comparison and the hacking situation is not quite there. One of the things, though, just with Isa saying about Le Pen's victory, one of the things that Macron's victory would do would be put down lines against populism, would indicate that populism is not sweeping Europe. In fact, as we had an election in the Netherlands, and if Macron wins here, that would be 2 in a row where populist forces did not come to fore. So this election tonight will be very telling as far as which direction we're headed in terms of continental shifts.
Yeah, certainly a very significant election, a lot at stake. We're going to have more on it later this bulletin. Our thanks now to Jim Bitterman, to Isa Soares, and to Melissa Bell.